Lesson 13.2 is all about angles and angle measure. Now this does not mean we're going to be getting out protractors and measuring out the angle or the degrees of individual angles. This just means we're going to find different ways to determine the measure of an angle given other information. Now there's some things we need to know before we continue on here. The initial side of an angle, anytime we're talking about a given angle, we have the initial side, which is just where you start from. So looking at our example to the left, the initial side would be right here, because you can see it's where the that loop, the actual angle, starts from. Which means then the terminal side is just where you end. And in that case, you can see that side, it's just this blue arrow going right across the end there. The vertex of any angle is like the corner or the middle. It's where both rays, both sides, the initial side and the terminal side, are emitted from. So in this case, the vertex, or our middle, our corner piece, is going to be right here. Standard position is what we call anytime we have an angle whose vertex is at the origin. Now remember, origin on a Cartesian plane just means that it's the point 0, 0. So whenever our vertex is at 0, 0, and the initial side, so again in our case it was that green one flying off the side there, when the initial side is on the positive x-axis. So if this is our x-axis and we're going in the positive direction, so positive x over there, negative x is over here, positive x, we can see that here it's moving in the positive x direction, going right across the line there. So this angle is actually given to us in standard position. So when we want to look at coterminal angles, a coterminal angle is any angle who has the same initial and terminal sides, but it's different in measure. There are a couple of different ways to do this. If we look at our first example here, we have a positive angle measure that goes counterclockwise from the initial point. So remember, our initial is this one across the x-axis here. And we were given that this is 225 degrees across. Well, anytime we have a positive angle given to us, we can find the negative angle right here. So it's going to be the same, essentially the same initial and terminal side, but it'll be a different angle measure by taking our 225, our given angle, and just subtracting 360. So remember, 360 degrees in the full circle, so we just subtract 360 degrees, which is going to leave us with negative 135 degrees. So that's one way to find a coterminal angle, is if we were to subtract 360. Another way to do it would be if we added 360 degrees, in which case we would get 585 degrees. In this case, we already have a positive one coming around. This one would come around twice, so it comes around 360 degrees, keeps going all the way around, and makes 585 degrees. So all three of these measures, the 225 degrees, 585 degrees, and negative 135, those are all coterminal angles to each other. If we have a negative angle that's given to us, which means we're going clockwise from our initial side. Remember, our initial side is right here along the x-axis. Again, a way to find the coterminal sides would be if you take our starting angle, we add 360, give us this little guy right here, in which case we would have 150 degrees. Or we could do negative 210 minus 360 degrees, which in the end would give us negative 570 degrees. So again, that would be coming around here, going all the way around once, and coming a little bit more. So it's an extremely large angle going around the circle once and coming back to it. But this 150 degrees, the negative 170 or negative 570 degrees, and the original one that was given to us, this negative 210. All three of these are coterminal to each other. So if we're not given a picture, we just have to find a coterminal angle to 30 degrees. We can do 30 minus 360 degrees, in which case we will have negative 330 degrees. Or we could do that 30 degrees plus 360, in which case we'd have 390. So all three of these, if we were to draw these out, draw a picture of this, would come out to our initial side, right along the positive x-axis, our vertex right at the origin, and our terminal, we're going to say that that is 30 degrees in between here. Doesn't look quite like it, but we'll just assume that's 30. So it's the same as saying coming all the way around and doing a negative 330, or going positive and coming all the way around to this 390. Again, all three of these work. It's the same exact position, same exact spot, same angle. So if we want to draw angles in standard position, say we wanted to draw an angle of negative 45 degrees in the standard position. So of course we need to make sure our vertex is right at the origin. Our initial side is the positive x-axis, and then we want our terminal side to create a 45 degree angle. So that would look something like this, in which case this is going to be 45 degrees, but since it's coming downward, we would say it's a negative 45 degree angle, in which case we've now made a positive 315 degree angle, because that 315 degrees and the 45 degrees would add up to 360. So again, standard position, we need vertex at the origin, initial side right on the positive x-axis. Now we are looking for a measure of 215 degrees. One quick way to do this is we know that right on the other side here is going to be 180. A line is always 180 degrees. And we know then that we, to get to 215, we would need an extra 35 degrees. So we would say 35 degrees more from there gets us to about here. So we can get rid of these pieces. I just got a little too much there. And so we'd say this is a 215 degree angle. And again, another way to do that would be if we took our 215, subtracted 360, in which case then that would give us our negative angle, which is going to be a negative 145 degrees, because the 215 and the 145 then would add back up to a full 360 degrees. On our last one here, we have an angle of 405. The interesting thing about 405 is that it's actually greater than 360. So in this case, it's going to be one of those situations where we have our spot, we have our initial, and we'd have to come all the way around. We don't know exactly where it's going to be, but it's going to be one of those extra long squiggly. So we'd have 405 minus 360, find a coterminal side, in which case it shows us we're looking for a 45 degree angle. So we have our vertex, our initial side on the positive axis, and we need a 45 degree angle, which we'll say is about to there. So our terminal side has to be drawn right here. Now we can say that since we know inside here is 45 degrees because it's a coterminal angle of our 405 is actually starting there and coming all the way back around to the end here. So that angle in total is our 405.